Welcome back to 6-Minute Math, where we turn confusion into clarity 6 minutes at a time. Thank you for joining us today for our topic, what is a polynomial? 6 minutes does tend to fly by, so here we go. Our key points when we are discussing what a polynomial are a couple definitions. The first definition is a term. This is what I consider the building block of a polynomial expression, and each term consists of a coefficient and or a variable, and that variable could include an exponent. A bunch of terms connected together through addition or subtraction is going to be a polynomial. This is an expression made up of various coefficients, variables, and or exponents. And as I mentioned, they typically are separated by a positive or negative addition or subtraction. Here's a couple examples of some terms. As you can see, we have a variety of coefficients, the number in front, variables, the letters, and exponents. I have a couple squareds here. And then at the end, I will draw your attention. Even a number, in this case negative 23, is a term. When we are defining polynomials, there's four major definitions we can use. A monomial is using one term. Binomial would be an expression of two terms. Trinomial, tri meaning three, is an expression of three terms. And anything above three, so this is four or more terms, is just considered a polynomial. So let's put this to an example. We're going to classify the following polynomials. I always like to separate my terms by circling them. So I'm going to circle each term that's separated by a plus or a minus, and then count up how many circles I have. In this case, I have 1, 2, 3. 3 terms make it a trinomial. My next example here, again, I'm going to circle my terms and count them up. I have 1, 2. 2 terms would make it a binomial. Next expression, circle all of my terms. Once I get to that fourth term, I know it's a polynomial. In this case, there is 5. But regardless, it would be classified as a polynomial. For my next example, I just have a single term, making it a monomial. And then my last example, again, I'm going to start circling. And once I hit 4, I know it's a polynomial. Within a polynomial, we can also define the degree of the polynomials. This can be separated into two ideas. The first is the degree of a term, which is the sum of all the exponents in a single term. So if I look at this trinomial, I have 3 terms. Again, I'm going to circle them, and I'm going to add up all of the exponents. So for this first example, my exponent is equal to 4, which means the degree is 4. For my second term, my exponent is 2. And for my last term, there is no exponent. Therefore, my degree is 0. If I have a polynomial here, I'm going to circle my terms again and add my exponents together. So in this first case, I have x cubed and y to the power of 1. There is an invisible 1 there, which would make the degree of that polynomial, or that term, 4. For my next example, that x has a 1, which would make that degree 3. My third term and fourth term here have no exponents, except for the imaginary 1, which would make both of them 1. And then my last degree would be 0. We can also define degree of a polynomial. This is the highest degree of a single term in that specific polynomial. Essentially, what I'm going to do is take all the degrees of the terms and choose the highest one. So for this example here, I have a degree of 3, a degree of 1, and a degree of 0. Therefore, the degree of this polynomial is 3. If I take my example I used previously, I know my degrees are 4, 3, 1, 1, and 0. My highest degree is 4. Therefore, my degree of that polynomial would be 4. Let's put this into some practice by telling us what the degree of the following polynomials are. I'm going to write the degree above each of the terms. So this is 1 and 0, making the degree of that polynomial 1. For my next example, I have a degree of 3 to start, a degree of 3, and a degree of 2. My highest of those is 3. Therefore, that would be the degree of that polynomial. My next example, I have a degree of 5, a degree of 4, a degree of 3, and a degree of 0. My highest is 5. And last example here, I have a degree of 4, a degree of 3, and a degree of 4. My highest being 4, which would be the degree of that polynomial. Those are all the examples we have today when we are talking about what is a polynomial. Please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at 6Minute Math, and be sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below for any topic you want to see me tackle in a future 6-minute episode. Always remember that the best way to get math is to practice math, so keep on practicing, and until next time, keep solving and evolving.